Good evening and thanks for joining us on NTA Nationwide. My name is Kene Ima Abudike. Nigerians continue to mourn the Second Republic Vice President, Dr. Alex Ekwueme, who passed on Sunday, 19th of November, in the London clinic. He started primary school at the St. John Anglican Central School, Ekwueme, and proceeded to King's College, Lagos. Dr. Ekwueme is an award recipient from the Fulbright Scholarship in the United States of America as one of the first Nigerians to gain the award. Alex attended the University of Washington, where he bagged a bachelor's degree in architecture and city planning. Ekwueme obtained a master's in urban planning and also earned degrees in sociology, history, philosophy and law from the University of London, and later a PhD in architecture from the University of Strathclyde. He started his professional career as an assistant architect in the United States of America, gaining national and international limelight before becoming Vice President of Nigeria in 1979. His famous proposals at the NCC for a just and equitable power sharing in Nigeria is based on the 6 geopolitical zones, which have now come to be accepted as necessary for maintaining a stable Nigerian polity. President Muhammadu Buhari has condoled Nigerians, the government and people of Anambra State on the passing away of elder statesman and former Vice President Dr. Alex Ekwueme on Sunday, November 19, 2017. The president also commiserated with the entire Oko Kingdom, the Agwata Council of Traditional Rulers and the Ekwueme family over the loss of the family's patriarch, whose regular councils on national issues and mediations for peaceful coexistence would be missed. In a press release by the Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, the President affirms that Dr. Ekwueme's unwavering commitment to the unity of Nigeria had been a major encouragement to many governments, recalling the personal sacrifices he made in helping to lay the foundation for sustainable democracy in Nigeria. President Buhari believes Dr. Ekwueme worked assiduously to improve the livelihood of many poor and underprivileged people through the Alex Ekwueme Foundation, describing him as a man who served his country and humanity. The president prays that the Almighty God receives the soul of the former vice president and grant his family the fortitude to bear the loss. News of the death of the former Vice President Dr. Alex Ekwueme has sent shockwaves across Anambra State, while it has thrown his native community, Oko, in Odumba North local government area, into mourning. The people were seen going about their normal businesses as they await information on funeral arrangement. We hope to bring you this report in the course of this bulletin. Speaker, House of Representatives Right Honorable Yakubu Dogara has described the death of former Vice President Dr. Alex Ekwueme as a monumental loss not just to Nigeria but the entire African continent. In a statement signed by the Speaker, he extolled the virtues of Dr. Ekwueme and stated that the former number 2 citizen was a distinguished elder statesman, patriot, nationalist, and a true son of Africa. He, however, lamented that the former vice president's demise came at a time Africa was in dire need of patriots and leaders like Dr. Ekwueme as he struggles with various internal conflicts and passes through a challenging pace in his history. Dogara also described him as one of the torchbearers of democracy in Nigeria. While urging politicians to emulate him, he prayed God to grant his family and indeed Nigeria the fortitude to bear the loss. Southeast Governors Forum mourns the peaceful passing on of a great son and leader, former Vice President of Nigeria, Dr. Alex Ekwueme. A statement by the Director General, South Governors Forum, Professor Simon Uchenna Otuanya, says his death is a great loss not just to Igbo land, but the whole nation. They, however, pray that the Almighty God will give his wife, Her Excellency Mrs. Beatrice Ekwueme, and the entire family the fortitude to bear the loss. Dr. Alex Ekwueme passed on Sunday, 19th of November, in the London clinic at the age of 85. Now, strengthening judicial integrity and the rule of law is the focus of this year's All Nigeria Judges Conference, now underway in Abuja. President Muhammadu Buhari, who declared the conference open, once again called for the effective synergy between the executive and the judiciary in combating graft and other forms of corruption, which he said are so endemic in Nigeria's public life. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Walter Onogen, could not agree less. The trial of Nnamdi Kanu and 3 others at the Federal High Court in Abuja has been temporarily stalled due to the ongoing Judges Conference holding in Abuja. The presiding judge, Justice Binta Nyako, has earlier ordered the sureties to prove their innocence in the circumstance surrounding Nnamdi Kanu's absence in court to attend to his trial. Dele Atumbi reports.
At the last sitting of the court on October 17, 2017, one of the defendants who is on bail, Nnamdi Kanu, was not in court. His absence prompted the court to rule that the 4 sureties should prove their innocence regarding the rationale behind the absence of the defendant they stood for. With this order, one of the sureties of Nnamdi Kanu, Senator Yinaya Barabe, was in court to explain the reason surrounding Nnamdi Kanu not being in court. The 3 other defendants were in court except Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra.
I, on the side of the prosecution, were ready to go on with the case today.
We have an application made before the court, compelling the military to produce them before the court.
The case has been adjourned to 5th December for further hearing, when the sureties will be expected to prove their innocence in the circumstance surrounding Nnamdi Kanu not being in court to attend to the charge preferred against him. In Abuja, Dele Atumbi, NTA News.
Security cooperation, economic growth and development, as well as governance and democracy, are issues on the table as the Nigeria-US Binational Commission opens in Abuja. Gabriel Odo reports that Minister of Foreign Affairs Geoffrey Onyama is engaging U.S. Deputy Secretary of State John Sullivan at the meeting. Let's move on. To demonstrate its fighting capacity against internal or external threat, the Nigerian Army has unveiled an exercise codenamed Vulcan Glow 5 in Kachia, Kaduna State, to avail participants the new thinking in that direction. Micah Monday reports.
Of recent, Nigeria's stability has variously come under serious threat, with insurgency in the northeast that is still on, agitation by secessionists in the southeast, Niger Delta militancy, cattle rustling and armed banditry as a case study. The event at the Kachia military training range, well attended by top serving and military brass, was designed to increase the tempo on the military's capacity to confront any challenge. The artillery corps, target of the exercise in Kachia, was meant to demonstrate their role in any serious operation to be carried out by the military. Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General Tukurisu Buratai, represented by Chief of Training and Operations, Army Headquarters, Major General David Amadou, described the exercise as timely.
It is noteworthy that the Artillery Corps has not restricted itself to its conventional roles, but has keyed into the combating contemporary security challenges and military operations other than war.
Major General Muhammad Garba is the Commander Artillery Corps.
The exercise therefore provided an avenue for the Nigerian Army leadership to reassess Nigerian Army Corps of Artillery preparedness in carrying out its roles in realization of the Chief of Army Staff vision, which is to have a professionally responsive Nigerian Army in the discharge of its constitutional role.
Exercise Vulcan Glow 5 was held last in 2010.
All is now set for the 2017 annual pension verification, an exercise that was last held in 2015. Acting Chairman, Military Pension Board, Brigadier General Adekunle Adeshope, announced this at a news conference in Abuja. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa reports.
A number of pensioners.
The conference is aimed at enlightening the pensioners on the requirement and modalities of the exercise scheduled to commence on the 27th to 9th December 2017 across the country. For convenience, different dates have been allotted to various rank groups for the about 90,000 pensioners who have been on the board's payroll as at October 2017.
Pensioners are expected to attend the verification exercise at any designated centers nearest to them, irrespective of their state of last verification. The inclusion of biometric for the exercise is to enable accurate update of the board's database.
While advising pensioners to come with their relevant documents, Brigadier General Adesokwe noted that no pensioner will be verified by proxy. Ismail Musa, NTA News.
Kano State Police Command says it will leave no stone unturned in fishing out criminal elements that have been giving residents nightmares. This follows the arrest of 3 suspected kidnappers who abducted 7 children in the metropolis. Mohammed Rabiu reports.
The new trend by kidnappers in Kano metropolis has become a source of concern to the public. Recently, 7 children were kidnapped in Ndishe, Lori Oba, Over Mazugali, and Oji Quarters. This prompted the Kano State Police Command to direct its anti-kidnapping squad into action. A syndicate led by Khalifa Usman, aka Gugu, of Lion Paul Kurna Asapi, and 2 other members were arrested.
When they kidnap a child, they will meet with other gang members, start making phone calls to negotiate with the parent for delivery of ransom.
DSP Magaji Musa Majia, however, called on parents to be vigilant and make proper documentation of all persons that brought a missing child and report to the nearest police station. The leader of the 3 suspected kidnappers, Khalifa Usman, confessed to the crime, saying it will not repeat itself. A mother to one of the victims says one of the kidnappers was an errand boy before delving into the heinous act. Muhammad Rabi Ali, NTA News.
NTA Nationwide continues after this timeout. Stay tuned.
Hate speech is not a joke. It incites genocide and crimes against humanity. Most of Africa's civil wars are caused by hate speech from one tribe against another. We don't want it here. The Nigerian government stands firm against hate speech.
Under no conditions whatsoever should we tolerate or excuse or justify hate speech or hateful conduct of any kind, especially where such is illegal.
There's no doubt that the resurgent push for separatism, as well as the rising cases of ethnic and religious disharmony, are all traceable to the growing phenomenon of hate speech.
One nation bound in freedom, peace and unity.
Nigeria, one nation, one people.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
The state of education in Nigeria. That is our focus on NTA Tuesday Live this week. Tuesday Live promises to be incisive, informative, and educating. Don't miss it.
The Honorable Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, cordially invites all state commissioners, permanent secretaries, and directors of tourism and culture and other stakeholders in the tourism, culture, and national orientation sector to the 9th National Council meeting on tourism, culture, and national orientation with the theme Tourism and Culture as a Panacea for Nigerian Economic Recovery. Chief host, Executive Governor of Jigawa State, Alhaji Muhammad Badaru Abubakar. Venue, Manpower Development Institute along Government House Road, opposite Commercial Secondary School, Takuru, Adwa, Duse, Jigawa State. Date, 22nd to 25th November 2017. Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Information and Culture, Announcer.
Thank you so much for inspiring greatness in me, Alhaji.
Alhaji?
I am just rehearsing, dear.
Rehearsing for what?
A life-changing and inspiring meeting.
With who?
Alhaji Aliko Dangote.
With the FG&I app and just 500 naira, you stand a chance to meet one-on-one with Alhaji Aliko Dangote, Africa's richest man, and win cash prizes. As the Be Inspired meetings give Nigerians a chance to meet one-on-one with icons. To qualify for the draw, download FG&I app from Apple Store or Google Play Store. Go to the Be Inspired section and follow the instructions. Cost of travel and accommodation of all winners within Nigeria will be borne by the organizers. Terms and conditions apply. Proudly supported by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Welcome back to NTA Nationwide as we now join at Demola in our Lagos Network Center for more stories. Over to you, Demola.
Thank you, Kenneth. Good afternoon and a warm welcome to Lagos. The power sector is to get additional 2,000 megawatts of power supply added to the national grid in the next 12 months to boost the federal government's initiative on the ease of doing business in Nigeria. Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, announced this at the Franco-Nigeria Chamber of Commerce and Industry in Lagos. Abolade Salami has more.
The sector in Nigeria is strategic and critical to driving the nation's economy. Since the inception of this administration, the sector has witnessed a substantial increase in power generation from 3,000 megawatts to approximately 7,000 megawatts. To unlock other areas of opportunities in power generation and distribution, stakeholders and entrepreneurs at this gathering suggested the incorporation of solar systems and hybrids of renewable energy to augment the current power generation successes.
From 2,690 megawatts of power when this government was elected, we are at a position where we are able today to produce 7,000 megawatts of power, and we are putting almost 5,000 megawatts of power on the grid. That is incremental and it's not stopping.
Nigeria has done very well in many fields, and especially in power and easing business. We have many companies in Nigeria working together with Nigerian authorities.
Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, added that out of 7,000 megawatts generated, only about 4,800 megawatts is distributed due to lack of distribution equipment. Panelists at the Business Forum advocated the involvement of more private hands in the distribution of power. In Lagos, Abolade Salami, NTA News.
Strengthening the hydrographic service delivery of marine operations within the nation's waterways has been described as critical in ensuring robust maritime activities. Chief of Naval Staff, Rear Admiral Ibok Ete Ibas, made the remark at the inauguration of the Nigerian Navy Maritime Safety Information Portal and Data Center in Lagos. Lynn Lenike has the details.
Yes, the limited availability of safety and hydrographic information within the nation's waterways has continued to generate concerns, both at local and international fora. Against this background, the Nigerian Navy has unveiled the Nigerian Navy Maritime Safety Information Portal and Data Center. The Chief of Naval Staff, who was represented, explained that this facility will afford maritime operators the opportunity of reaching out to the hydrographer to report any unusual feature observed during the voyage within the nation's waters, while connecting maritime operators within Nigeria's waters and the international maritime community in line with global best practices.
Anything that is to happen here, we have to send the information to the UK for them to publish it, for the whole world to know. But with this, anybody that logs on this system will be able to know what is happening in Nigerian maritime environment, and you are sure that your ship is safe.
The hydrographer of the Nigerian Navy, Navy Commodore Ekwueme Okafor, enjoined all stakeholders to cooperate and utilize this facility for the promotion of safety and security in Nigeria's maritime environment.
We have taken one giant step towards being self-reliant in that aspect, which is going to help our mariners to get information that is much better, updated, and real time.
The inauguration of this facility, according to the Navy, will ensure safe, secure, robust maritime activities capable of boosting the nation's economy. In Lagos, Lynn Lenake, NTA News.
The Nigeria Customs Service has handed over a 400-feet container of highly unregulated drugs intercepted at the port by the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA. Customs Area Controller Yusuf Bashal, reiterated the desire of the service to sustain existing interagency cooperation to ensure that illicit drugs are intercepted at the ports. Viera Chumwoba has the report.
The drugs intercepted by the Nigerian Customs Service at the ports include cartons of Spectradol and Ceftriaxone capsules of various milligrams, as well as GNAT tablets. The Customs Area Controller, Tinkan Island Port, Comptroller Yusuf Basha, who described the drugs as highly unregulated, raised the alarm over illegal consumption of these drugs by the Nigerian youths, in spite of the far-reaching negative health implications of the drugs.
Generally, people, mostly youth in Nigeria, consume this thing illegally, and they do a lot of social vices, which includes kidnapping.
Comptroller Basha, who attributed the frequent drug seizures in recent times to upcoming election year, said consumption of such drugs propel the youths to commit despicable acts. He disclosed the identity of the importer as Gene Spectra Pharmaceutical Limited of number 3 Festing Road, Kano, and the clearing agent Fibiaco Nigeria Limited. The Customs Area Controller, however, warned that the service will not allow unpatriotic importers to use the Tinkan Island port as dumping ground for perpetrating illegal operations. Mr. Nse Jack, who received the consignment on behalf of the NDLA chairman, gave assurance that the suspects will be prosecuted after investigation. In Lagos, Viera Chumuba, NTA News.
And that does it from Lagos. Is back to you, Kene, for more on Nationwide. Good afternoon.
Thank you, Ademola. Just as we told you earlier, security cooperation, economic growth and development, as well as governance and democracy are issues on the table as the Nigerian-US Binational Commission opens in Abuja. Gabriel Odu reports that Minister of Foreign Affairs Geoffrey Onyama is engaging U.S. Deputy Secretary of State John Sullivan at the meeting.
The Nigeria-United States Binational Commission is to review the state of bilateral relations between the two countries in the light of President Donald Trump's foreign policy direction.
It's clearly evident that in spite of the change in leadership on both sides, our foreign policy objectives to promote stronger ties between our two countries is firmly on course with the very, very strong and committed leadership and guidance of our two presidents.
The Deputy Secretary of State, John Sullivan, pledges U.S. continued support to restore peace in the Northeast, having committed over $4.5 million in the region.
Nigeria's success does not depend on its military effectiveness on the battlefield alone. It requires improvements to the economy and governance off the battlefield as well. In other words, a comprehensive response is necessary to build a better future in the Northeast and in Nigeria as a whole.
The Binational Commission meeting is expected to adopt strategic action plan for good governance and democracy. In Abuja, Gabriel Udu, NTA News.
Government and parents have been urged to ensure adequate welfare and security for children, especially those at the war-prone areas, as the world celebrates the Universal Children's Day. Basi Etaiban reports that as part of the celebration, children were engaged in most public service work for 24 hours.
As a child is to be whatever I want to be in future, to be any religion I want to be, and also respect my parents.
Right to peace, to appeal when cheated.
This is the aim for the yearly celebration.
Everybody is thinking about children today.
It's about building and giving them the empowerment to become whatever they want to become.
You have to put more effort towards securing the future of Nigerian children.
Children were engaged in key positions of the public service to give support to millions of their peers who live in poverty and lack basic necessities of life. My microphone was taken from me, and yours truly was made the interviewee.
Make sure Nigeria should be the great.
2017 celebration on the theme, Children of Today are Keepers of Tomorrow, is to protect children, fight for their rights, and help them fulfill their potentials.
Children are precious gifts. Give us our rights.
Established in 1959 and ratified by the UN Convention of 1991 on the Rights of the Child, the day is celebrated to promote international togetherness among the children worldwide. In Abuja, Basi Taifang, NTA News.
Now, towards striking standards of education at the basic level, the Universal Basic Education Commission, UBEC, is to carry out assessment of learning in schools, pupils and students in Nigeria with a view to preferring solutions to some of the constraints and challenges. Briefing newsmen on the concern of the Commission for Qualitative Education in the country, UBEC Executive Secretary Dr. Hamid Boboyi said the objective is to determine the efficiency and the quality of performance. Abdullahi Musa Suleja has details.
As a bedrock for development of any society, education is imperative such that its foundation must be sound for the secondary and tertiary levels to be meaningful. Even though the states and local government authorities own the schools as a regulatory and intervention body, the Executive Secretary said UBEC's assessment of learners' achievement is crucial for the implementation of basic education program.
If we don't take care of basic education in a manner that would lead to the positive outcomes, that we are talking, we end up in a crisis in the country. Part of the outcomes, that we hope to address after this exercise, a clear view of how we can readjust our own programs to respond to the various needs of the country.
The Commission said the target population consists of public and private primary and junior secondary schools across the nation, while 1,080 primary schools and 432 junior secondary schools will constitute the school sample for the assessment. 216 local education authorities, 1,080 teachers, 2,160 teachers, 42,200 pupils, and 25,920 parents will be used as samples. This kind of assessment was last conducted in 2011. Abdullahi Musa Suleja, NTA News.
The transportation sector has continued to get more attention from the federal government with another huge allocation in the 2018 budget. Ogenaya Kalo Oka chronicles the successive increase in the sector's allocation and its impact on the economy.
Effort to fast-track the development of the transportation sector in Nigeria has been of top priority to this administration. Since assuming duty in 2015, the transport sector has seen a steady increase in allocation. In 2013, the allocation to the transport sector decreased from 107.7 billion naira to 72.3 billion naira. In 2015, it nosedived to 29.7 billion naira. The first budget by the Buhari administration in 2016 saw allocation to the sector rising to 202.3 billion naira, an increase of more than 1,000% over 2015.
Transport sector, as it is a bridge building in rural economy.
The allocation further increased to 262 billion naira in 2017, which is evident in the completion of some rail, maritime and aviation projects across the country.
Between the 27th of July 2016 and now, we have carried over 450,000 passengers with just one rake to and fro Kaduna.
To consolidate on the successes, the budget for the sector in 2018 made a provision of 263.10 billion naira, making it second highest allocation after Ministry of Works, Power and Housing.
I'm very, very happy for transportation now because transportation is the one of the biggest economies in developing country now.
If there has been an alternative means of transportation in the country that are readily available to the common man,
it's a good omen for the rail sector particularly, because the present government It's emphasizing that our rail sector should be developed, at least linked to all state capital and major industrial area.
Federal government focused in transportation is aimed at developing some key projects across the country. The 2018 budget, according to President Muhammadu Buhari, will consolidate on previous budgets and deliver on Nigerians' recovery, economic and growth plan. But the key word, according to concerned Nigerians, is implementation. In Abuja, Oyinaya Kalo Oka, NTA News.
Deputy Speaker, House of Representatives on autonomy for local government administration. Let's get details of these and more from Kemi in our Ibadan Network Center.
Thank you, Kenny. Good afternoon and welcome to Ibadan. Revamping the Nigerian textile industry has been identified as a veritable alternative for sustainable non-oil economic growth in the nation. This was the consensus at the 10th edition of the monthly seminar at the National Institute for Social and Economic Research, NISA Ibadan. Kemi Oshin has the details.
In a paper titled Competitiveness of the Nigerian Textile Industry, the researcher Dr. Wahab Adelowo observed that in the 80s, the textile industry in Nigeria is the third largest manufacturing firm in the world, providing employment and contributing significantly to the nation's GDP. He, however, noted that the industry has lost its past glory due to a number of factors affecting its competitiveness with other textile industries across the world.
The condition of infrastructure is very poor. So, and this is not making the industry maybe at large to be competitive. To draw our attention back to how we can make the textile industry competitive.
They also called for adequate involvement of government, training institutions as well as industries in order to drive a world-class innovation in the sector. In Ibadan, Kemi Oshin, NTA News.
A delegation from the National Institute of Policy and Strategic Studies has endorsed the tourism potentials of Osun State. Members of the team arrived at this conclusion after inspecting some tourist sites in the state. Correspondent Tunji Adepoju reports.
Members of the National Institute of Policy and Strategic Studies, KURU, are in Osun State to understudy the tourism potential of the state with a view to diversifying the economy in line with the national mandate of the present administration. Places visited include the Olumirin waterfall in Nigerian in Oboko local government area, as well as the Kiriji War site, where members and others who are with them saw so many things that are attractive and capable of generating the much needed revenue.
It's an eye-opener to us, and I think if this is actually looked into and proper investment done, I'm so sure that this will open up Osun State.
They are impressed with what they have seen on ground because State of Osun got enormous tourist sites to generate more funds for the state government now that our oil is no more flowing.
At the Kiriji War site, where the popular peace treaty was signed, members went through a lot, seeing so many historical sites which are of benefit to them and the nation. From Imesile, Tunji Adepoju, NTA News.
Governor Rauf Aregbesola of Osun State says he is already delivering on his promises to complete all ongoing projects embarked upon by the APC administration in the state. The governor said this at Ikpetumudu, where he switched on 7 transformers for use of 7 rural communities. Olabode Arewa has more.
Towns and communities in Ife North went agog on Tuesday as the people turned out to give the governor a rousing welcome. The occasion was the inauguration of rural electrification projects provided by the state governor for the area. The projects provided with a 10% community input included 7 units of 500 kVA transformers for Yakuyu, Ashipa, Isaleola, Akorede, Akinlalu, Kumegun, and Amule communities. The transformers have already been connected to the national grid. Inaugurating them for use, Governor Rauf Aregbesola says it is to fulfill his earlier promise to provide stable electricity for the area.
Please find a job for yourself and render
your civic obligation and responsibility to the state.
In addition to the inauguration of the power transformers, Governor Ekwueme also inaugurated the new St. Augustine Government Elementary School from Ikpetumodu, Olabodarewa, NTA.
And that's it from Ibadan. It's back to you, Kenny.
Thank you, Kemi. This is Nationwide on NTA Network Service. More reports shortly.
Everybody comes to the city to seek greener pasture. No, not everybody. Many people also run away from their home villages in search of refuge and peace in the city. These people are running away from archaic customs and traditions, draconian village practices that have in one way or the other made them victims of circumstances based on cultural practices.
It sounds like a tale out of the medieval era.
Oh yes. Keep a date with us this week on Professor John Bull in this episode titled Running to the City, and discover how Boam and Nje escaped to become part and parcel of Professor John Bull's household and proximate people. Also, find out why Jumoke will love Jeroboam instead of Flashboy.
Oh, my baby shawarma with a dash and a style. Move like a flash, baby.
Over and out.
Brought to you by Glow,
the largest data network. Glow Unlimited.
Reorganized, trained, and fully equipped. We are the new improved Nigeria Police Force. We fight crime. We bust syndicates. Whatever the crime, wherever the hideout, the Nigeria Police Force will get you busted. Stop kidnapping, armed robbery, murder, pipeline vandalism, and other criminal activities. Be productive. Be security conscious. Join the police force to secure your life and property. This message is from the Nigeria Police Force Public Relations Department.
Willie Obiano of All Progressives Grand Alliance, APGA, has emerged winner of the November 18, 2017 governorship election in Anambra State after polling a total of 234,071 votes to defeat candidates from 36 other political parties. Political correspondent Ifeanyi Okafor has details.
That Willie Maduabuchi Obiano of APGA, having satisfied the requirements of the law and scored the highest number of votes, is hereby declared the winner and is returned elected.
The Chief Returning Officer, Professor Zana Akpagu, declaring Willie Obiano of the All Progressives Grand Alliance elected governor for another 4-year term. Obiano defeated Dr. Tony Nwoye of the All Progressive Congress, who polled 98,752 votes, while People's Democratic Party's standard bearer, Ose Loka-Obaze, polled 70,293 votes. Governor Obiano expressed appreciation to the people of Anambra for re-electing him for another 4-year term.
What this victory calls for is more dedication to the service of India Anambra.
APC candidate Tony Nwoye, who has conceded defeat, reacted.
I thank God that he made today possible, and I must congratulate the governor.
Similarly, the PDP candidate Ose Loka-Obaze spoke on some glitches in the exercise as he reacted on the outcome of the election.
I'm gratified that the process was peaceful.
At the end of collations, the total number of valid votes were 422,314. Total number of rejected votes 26,457, while total number of votes cast was put at 448,771, while total accredited voters was 457,311. Representatives of the political parties have signed copies of the results. Ifeanyi Okafor, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the PDP candidate Oselaka Obaze at the Anambra governorship election reacted this way.
I'm Franklin Oyekachi, and I'm here with the governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Oselaka Obaze, at his country home, Ochuche Umodu, to get his preliminary reaction on the election. Sir, we would like to hear from you. How do you see the process so far?
Well, like I said yesterday, I'm gratified that the process was peaceful. I did not hear any reports of skirmishes of violence, and for that we're gratified. That's what we preached. The results are trickling in. As you can see, I'm watching the results being announced. I did say yesterday that there was apathy in terms of voter turnout across the state from the field reports that we got. As we watch now, it seems that the results coming in did not reflect the reality. There seems to be more results being announced by INEC as opposed to the apathy and the level of voting. So that is a problem itself for us. I've noticed, and I'm glad that the supervising officers and electoral officers are reporting in places like Aguata and some other places overvoting, which means the number of voting far exceeded the number of accredited voters and far exceeded the number of people captured on the card readers. There were card reader problems all over the place, which are clearly documented. But right now, there seems clearly to be a disconnect between the actual voting and the results being announced by INEC. INEC would have to answer as to how those things happened.
The Independent Electoral Commission, INEC, and the Nigeria Police say they will leverage on the successes of the governorship election in Anambra State to improve on subsequent elections. Spokespersons of INEC and the police disclosed this while reviewing conducts of the election on NTA's Good Morning Nigeria. Kunle Adeyeye reports.
The Independent National Electoral Commission and the Nigeria Police had, in the build-up to the election, pledged to be professional in their operations before, during, and after the polls. Director of Voter Education and Publicity of INEC, Oluwole Osaze Uze, and Force Public Relations Officer Jimo Moshood said INEC and the police have been vindicated by the peaceful conduct of the election. They said greater successes will be achieved if politicians and other actors in the electoral process play by the rule.
Reflect the wishes of the people. We think it did. I think most impartial observers have agreed that it actually reflected the wishes of people. Things were calm. It was conducted in a relatively conducive atmosphere. So the security agencies and the people of Anambra will be commended for that.
We ensure that threat assessment that was carried out, we build on it. We work on it to ensure that all the identified area that problem can come from are attended to.
While some election observers acknowledged that the conduct was generally peaceful, they suggested that some identified lapses should be corrected before 2019 general elections.
Lessons that we need to learn from what happened in Anambra, particularly for Nigeria, and looking forward to 2019. A lot of people were looking at Anambra election with regards to what would manifest there and what we're likely going to see in 2019.
Beyond the conduct of elections, the guests advised that all hands must be on deck to ensure the success of future elections. In Abuja, Kunle Adeyeye, NTA News.
Ondo people react to federal government's ecology fund. This and more with Ogochukwuka in Benin.
Very good afternoon and welcome to Benin. Governor Godwin Obaseki wants members of the Public Complaints Commission not to allow the agency be used as a tool for debt collection. The governor made a call when the Federal Commissioner of the agency, Mr. Felix Alari, visited him. Good luck, Naini reports.
The governor, who described the commission as strategic in the actualization of the present administration's quest to rebuilding the country, urged the members of the commission not to allow material gains becloud their sense of judgment. He said, as an agency that relates majorly with the public, much is expected.
Now that we realize that you have a clear mandate and you have the staffing, we will be able to refer some of the cases that go beyond our jurisdiction.
The Federal Commissioner, Public Complaints Commission, Edo State, Mr. Felix Alari, who described the policies of the Obaseki-led administration as people-oriented, urged the governor to continue to impress on public officers and heads of public institutions the need to respond promptly to inquiries from the commission so that the state can continue with its enviable developmental strides.
And the clear mandate of the Public Complaints Commission is to investigate cases of administrative injustice and impunity.
The Commission and the Edo State government agreed to work in synergy for the overall development of the state and the nation. In Benin, I am Goodluck Inaini, NTA News.
The House of Representatives says it will ensure adequate appropriation and utilization of funds to federal institutions of higher learning in the country to entrench quality education. This was part of the positions of the House Committee on Tertiary Education and Services led by its chairman, Aminu Suleiman, during an oversight visit to the Federal Polytechnic at Ekiti. Kola Adebobuyi has details.
Members of the committee were at the Polytechnic as part of the National Oversight Functions visit to ascertain performances of appropriations and ensure funds are deployed for the purposes they are meant for in the citadel of learning, from the numerical strength of the workforce in compliance with the Federal Character Commission to internally generated revenue profile, distribution of training of staff, and expenditure from year 2016 to June 2017. Members of the committee took time to scrutinize authorities of the Polytechnic with a view to ensure adequate appropriation and utilization of funds to the federal institution.
Once we do an appropriation, then it's incumbent on us to come back, look around to ensure that what we provided are utilized for the purposes for which they are provided in the first place.
We have made presentations that, look, technical education is not something that you can treat with kid gloves. It is a very expensive business.
The House Committee on Tertiary Education and Services is expected to submit its reports to the Committee of the whole House at the end of the oversight functions to federal tertiary institutions in the country. In Ado Ekiti, Kola Adebobuyi, NTA News.
Ondo State government and some stakeholders in the state have appreciated the federal government for the 5.5 billion naira ecological fund recently approved for the states and other states in the federation to tackle ecological challenges being faced by these states. They say it is a welcome development. Olubukola Aduwo reports.
Ondo State has the second largest deposit of bitumen in the world after Canada, but exploration of the mineral resource has not been realizable as successive governments, both at the state and federal levels, made frantic efforts to commence exploration but met brick walls. However, the coast is now clear as President Muhammadu Buhari, while presenting the 2018 appropriation bill, announced that work is ongoing to fully exploit the bitumen resources to meet the 600,000 MTS of asphalt imported per annum for roads and other construction projects. This, according to respondents, is a path in the right direction.
For the people of Ondo State, this has once again confirmed that this administration works is stocks.
State government can actually drive massive IGR from that because people who work here are going to be paying their pay as you earn. They're going to be paying their taxes.
Ondo State stands to benefit with it if they are timely release of the budget and implementation.
They expressed optimism that if fully implemented, the 2018 appropriation bill may become Nigeria's way to success. In Akure, Olubukola Aduwo, NTA News.
We now return to Abuja for the last lap of the news. Good afternoon.
Thank you, Gochupuka. The 19th of every November is set aside by the United Nations to remember victims of road traffic crashes, their families, and those involved in rescue services. The initiative is to create awareness on how to scale down the epidemic of road traffic violence and their potential risks to all road users. Emmanuel Ayemi has the details on the remembrance services for road crashes victims.
The need for prompt response to enhance the possibility of survival and quick recovery, as well as standing in solidarity with family members of victims of road tragedy, are being emphasized.
Each year, millions of nearly injured and bereaved people from every corner of the world are added to the countless millions already suffering as a result of road crashes. The advocacy to end road crashes was taken to the mosque by road safety officials in Abuja as part of awareness creation, where adherence to traffic rules was emphasized.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue to protect Nigerians while on the roads.
To call on our Muslim faithfuls to imbibe road safety culture so that we remain alive to continue to contribute to the economic development of our nation.
Road safety officials equally appeal to Christians to be involved in spreading their awareness to assist victims of road crashes and other agencies on emergency services.
Anything that will bring a blockade to road users that one can run into it, we should as much as possible avoid these things.
We want to bring to the front burner the impact that road crashes has on families, whether they are dead, whether they're injured. We have people who have been in Igbo for 10, 5, 6 years, and you can imagine the burden on the families.
Nigeria is working towards achieving the goal of the decade of action for road safety 2011 to 2020 to save 5 million lives. Emmanuel Ayemi, NTA News.
We now join. All right, let's bring you some sports stories now. The Falconets of Nigeria whitewashed the Moroccan under-20 female team 5-1 in the second leg of FIFA Women's World Cup qualifier played at the Samuel Obamudia Stadium. Frank Okonofoa reports that the Deputy Governor, Philip Shaibu, led some members of the State Executive Council to cheer the team.